everybody, this is Perch. Hope you're having a good, well, it's the start of the week for me. Again, this video will probably go out on a Thursday or a Friday or something, and that'll make no sense. But anyway, it is the start of the week, and, still getting used to Texas a little bit. Temperature fluctuation I find pretty fun. It's hot one day, cold the next. I'm enjoying that. That will not happen in the summer where it will be hot one day and then hotter the next day and then marginally hotter the next day, and that's going to be a lot less enjoyable. But Texas has been fun, kind of getting to know it a little bit. I imagine I'm going to spend a year or two here and then migrate again, and we'll see where all that goes. If I had my way, and I doubt I will, I will go back to Japan and live there for a couple of years again. I enjoyed Japan. I like that area. I like the food. I like the environment, and that's where my heart belongs. So that's where I would like to go. But at that point, I'm going to have at least one kid in junior high. So maybe that's not such a good plan. But anyway, we'll see. If not there, like Belize or something, I don't know. It's hey, get the hell out. Get the hell out of everywhere. Anyway, all right. Here's a good question from a viewer, and I appreciate. I'm trying to get caught up on a lot of these questions, and you're sending them in faster than I'm able to answer. So that is not happening, but it's creating lots of good content that almost everyone, with the exception of one loser shut in. I'm joking. I appreciate all of my fans, and you are a fan, Mumbles. I know you are. How do I'm mentioning Mumbles too much, but it's I don't know. I have this good feeling that he's out there, or she's out there, whatever. I like that Mumbles exists, and that's kind of hard to explain. It just there's been some craziness. I know that article that a lot of people got shared around seemed to bother a lot of people. I did the video on it, but let me be clear. I promise it hasn't been on my mind. There's been a couple other things that have gone on that are on my mind that are bringing me down. That article is definitely not one of them, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, I like the fact that Mumbles is out there. It just makes me feel better about the world in a very weird way. So here's this question, and I like this question because it's one that I faced before in the comic shop, and I suspect may apply to many of you as well. It says, "Hey Perch, how do I appreciate comics from specifically the pre-Image days?" That'd be 92 and before. "I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm new to the comics hobby, just started a few months ago. I think that the later point is important as I'm still developing a palette for what I enjoy looking at. But I can tell you that I find the older stories very simplistic and innocent, for lack of a better word. The art isn't great either, although I find reading older material on paper much better than digital." That is true. "This probably has something to do with the change in coloring technology that happened in the 90s. Older comics seem much less dynamic than modern stuff, and the dialogue is stiff, much like some old TV and comic movies. I realize I'm asking about liking something that is subjective, but surely there must be some things to consider approaching older material. Does this just come more with experience and hobby? I'm not thrilled that I can't enjoy the plethora of material from the Golden to the Bronze Ages." This is an awesome question. Okay, well, so here's one really easy way to kind of, navigate your world. And it's going to be really kind of an obvious answer, and I'll get some more complex things. So first off, ask yourself, what do you like today? Do you like high action? Do you like more horror? Do you like what genre, what type of comic do you like? And try and be as specific as possible. Like, if you look over the recent kind of developments and you say, I really like Civil War, for example. I like a big event comic. It's got all the characters in there. They're doing things. We don't get a lot of moments from any one of them, but the art is pretty dynamic. There's a lot happening. Stakes seem pretty high. I like Civil War. Okay. Or you might say, I like The Walking Dead. Black and white's good for me. I know they're coloring it now. But, the more of the horror kind of approach, more long-form storytelling where there's like cliffhangers in almost every issue, etc. That's the comic I'm enjoying most. So what current modern I know I listed two things that are, were out several years ago, but still in this era you talked about post-Image. What are the things that you really enjoy? Once you have that down, then I think you can make a fairly easy leap to, and the way I would do it is go to the best you can find from the past. So, for example, if you like Civil War, or you like, big event comics, if you like, I don't know, one of the crises, or you like metal, for example, um, go with Crisis, the original Crisis, the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Why? Well, because thematically, you're going to get something very, very similar. You're going to get, a very complex, very detailed art in the form of George Perez. You're going to get huge stakes. You're going to get a lot of character moments, but not, deep into any character. You're going to see a lot of the breadth of the DC universe. If Marvel is more your thing, Secret Wars is a great one. But I think the right way to do it, and this is my advice, and I do think it's subjective and everybody works differently, but my advice is to not go all the way back. I've heard people suggest, like, nope, you need to pick up Fantastic Four #1 and you just start reading there. The problem is, it's a very jarring kind of experience if you haven't built up the palette, the interest for those characters. So go to some of the big things that match what you've done, even if it's not all the way back to the golden and silver age, or even if it's not at the start. This is how I've worked. And what I think is unique here is that most people I've talked to in the shop, operate the same way. They just don't necessarily realize it at the beginning. One of the best ways to get an excitement and enjoyment for comics, if you're starting relatively new, and there's thousands of comics in the past to go look at, is don't start at the beginning. Yes, it makes sense to have the characters introduced to you and all the rest, but part of hooking yourself in those early days of starting to explore more comics, get something in the middle where you don't fully know what's going on. As long as you've got a fairly clever, questioning mind, that's going to enhance your enjoyment of the comic, not hurt it. That sounds weird. But today, if you picked up Secret Wars, you're going to like, hey, why is there not Tony Stark in the armor? What's going on here? You're going to get a lot of questions. Oh, this is the first time I'm seeing Spider-Man's black suit. Is that Venom? Is that what that's supposed to be? Huh. I didn't know it started here. Who is this Rogue character, and why is Rogue kind of not, completely? Why do her teammates seem to not trust her? Why is that dynamic occurring? Why is the Hulk at different times, talking with intelligence? I thought he was a mindless brute. These, who is Claw? Like, where did this character come from? Why can he be sliced up into bits? That's weird. Those kinds of questions tend, 9 times out of 10, increase your interest in comics, and then it gives you the clue of where to go next. You just start hopping your way backward, and you pick up. And once you've really figured out like 3 or 4 things that you love, then I think it's much easier to go to the very beginning and then start reading the run. And it's almost this adventure for you of seeing some of these huge moments and then saying, you know what, I'm going to start from the beginning, and and then you get the double experience of seeing the buildup to a lot of these moments. It works. I think that if you're coming in new to comics, the problem is you're not really new. You've already been infected, I don't mean it in a negative way, with a bunch of cartoons and movies and stuff from the MCU, and just like you already have a sense of who these characters are because you've seen little bits and pieces everywhere from them. So you're not coming at this fresh. Your experience is not like the experience of comic collectors and fans and customers back in 1964 when you were experiencing these things for the first time. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. You are not getting a true unspoiled Spider-Man experience. You've probably already seen movies or cartoons. You've seen certainly, toys. You know that this character is a big deal. There's Venom out there. You've seen little pieces already. So trying to actually get the authentic original experience everyone else has, it's impossible. So instead, use this moment where you're slightly educated about everything, like you've seen some things from everyone. Use this moment to kind of guide you to what you're going to enjoy and like the most. Use this moment to build up your own interest. That's a winning combo. That is going to be something that's going to make your enjoyment of comics better, and also you figure out what you like. Over time, I mean, that's by and large how I started. Now, I started earlier, obviously, because I started reading comics in the '70s. But for a lot of you, it I mean, it will work the same way with me. I didn't immediately go back to the first issues, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and all the rest. I tried. I remember going to the Avengers, and I'm like, I can't. I don't like this dynamic. I don't like this book. I'm not. I don't enjoy it. And then what would happen was I hit the Korvac saga, and I'm like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. Or I hit in a lot of cases I started reading comics in the '70s. That's not entirely true. I think I started reading comics in the early '80s. I'm not that old now. But a lot of the comics that I quickly went to were comics from the '70s, and then I worked my way back, and it worked. It fit. I learned what I liked and what I didn't like, and that to me is the best thing. It took me a while, much later, where I started to gain a real appreciation for Golden Age, Silver Age Superman, and kind of those silly, wacky adventures, and some of the other things that I find that I really love. That came much later. And I think if I would have just tried to start there, I've been like, what the hell? Superman's a weird space pope in this one, or there's like none of that. Like, Perry White has magical cigars. I starting at that place, I think I would have gotten a perception that comic books are just absurd and stupid, not taking themselves seriously, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it. It wouldn't have worked for me at all. So I think, to me, that's the stuff that helped get my appreciation for comics. But I would give it a try, see what you think, figure out what you like, and if you want any help, shoot me another mail and say, I really like these comics. Where should I go first? Happy to help out. Most comic shops, most retailers will be happy to help out with that quest, and I know lots of people online will as well. That sounds like a good video series, honestly. A little bit of a matching, like if you like this, then you will like that kind of thing. I tried to do that on Twitter for a while, and it wasn't rewarding. It's probably the best way to put it, like so many things on Twitter. Anyway, thanks for the question, and for all of you, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for listening.